Okie dokie, y'all. I thought I'd do a voiceover because sometimes when I'm just trying to do it, the wind's blowing and everything, y'all can't hear me very well. So anyways, this is her first, well, this is not her first saddling, this is the first time I've saddled her. I always do this, yield the hindquarters, get the hindquarters over. It helps so when I ask the horse out that they don't have a chance to try to buck or something. Now she has not at all, but you know, a horse that's never been saddled before, or getting after her there a little bit because she didn't want to move over. A horse that hasn't been saddled before, or a horse that has been saddled before, but they've been getting away with hopping around and trying to buck or something. So it's a good way to get their attention before you go ahead and ask them to move out. So just making sure she'll move, rub her a little bit, get her to move the other way. Say, hey, come on, move over a little bit. Nice. Move over. So here what she's doing with her head is she's trying to get me to kind of be on the other side and not really be on that side. I'll stop and rub her. She'll use her head like that sometimes. She'll just kind of try to push or shove you out of the way. Kind of like there, I had to move her on out. She's like, nope, going that way. There we go. Asking her to move. I noticed when she was trying to face me, I just kept after her until she moved forward, and then as soon as she moves forward, then I'll let her be. So I yield her hindquarters here, and I go in the other direction. Actually, it's really nice having the mattresses there, is because I kind of have to look where their feet are going, because sometimes they'll trip or stumble over the mattresses. But it's nice and soft, so they're not going to hurt themselves going over the top of it if they're not paying attention. So, let's see. Having her go around. Very nice. So this video from the time of this voiceover is probably, I want to say, 4 or 5 days later after this video was taken. I'm getting her to move. There we go. Asked her to stop, and asked her to go the other way. So, training in the stop, nice. She was wanting to go forward, said, hey, no, you need to go backwards. So, training in the stop is actually like that, helps them to, it helps work on, like, your stops when you actually get them to stop. When you're riding them and you say, hey, whoa, you need to stop. So that helps a whole bunch there. But first of all, before you start asking them to stop like that, they need to know how to back up, to stop and back up. So, you know, I can, with her, just take a hold of the halter and ask her to back up. Or I can just wiggle the rope and ask her to back up. So they need to know that first before you start that. So here what I'm doing is I'm getting her to turn. You notice first I was going back and forth, turning back and forth, and now I turn, she stopped, now I'm rubbing on her, and then I'll ask her, you know, to turn, she'll stop. I'll go ahead, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I should have gone on in there and rubbed her actually. Okay, there we go. There she moved on over. So what this is doing here is teaching her to work on her rollbacks. Work more off that back end to be able to spin around. So this is working on rollbacks and spins, and this is also going to help with stopping too, because she's going to be more apt, or the horse in general, it's going to be more apt to go ahead and use that back end to go ahead and stop and all that stuff, and pick up those front feet a little bit instead of jamming on the brakes or putting a bunch of pressure on that front end. Very nice, very nice. So it just helps to keep them from, you know, really jamming on that front end. It gets them moving off of and using that back end of theirs. So see here, see, I went ahead and backed her up. That is something that something they need to know before you have them going around and on the fence like that, and then say, hey, you need to stop and get a hard stop like that. So they need to know how to do that, and also to when you wiggle the rope or whatever, is for them to go ahead and back up. You don't want to just have them go around and then be like, hey, guess what, you gotta stop, and then they're like, what are you talking about, and they just keep running. Now when I say that in the beginning, they will keep going around, and you'll have to be like, hey, I asked you to stop, but they'll have an idea what's going on, instead of and they'll catch on a lot faster instead of you just making it like, oh yeah, here you go. So here I just let her go, and this is something I do. Here she goes. She decided to kind of run through me. I'm like, nope, other way. So I don't want her to change directions on me. She was stopping there at the gate. That's where she was. And if you can see there in the corner, there's a horse standing there. That's a horse that's in a pen right there, Scarlet. So she's kind of stopping there at the other horse and at the gate. So I'm like, hey, you need to keep moving. The reason I turn them loose like this, well, first of all, I work them and then I turn them loose, and I do this with all the horses, whether they've been saddled or not. And like I said, this horse has been saddled and rode before she came here. She's not just a newbie. But what I do is, like for this horse, it teaches her, hey, you know what, you need to go the direction I'm telling you to, and push them out and stuff. And if sometimes they get up in that fence a little bit because they're trying to get out away from you, and it's also kind of that thing where if she was on a rope, she'd probably be pulling on me a little bit, so it helps just get her to moving out, but I don't have to fight her with trying to hold her and get her to move at the same time. And it gives them a chance to kind of just do what they're going to do out there by themselves. But usually they're not gonna, especially a horse that's never been saddled before, they're usually, when they go out like this, just like she's doing, is they're not gonna buck, because you've already got their attention. You already got their them paying attention. So here she's wanting to move, go the other way, kind of stop at the gate there. So hey, you know what, you need to move forward. Forward. So she kind of run me over there. And when I say run me over, I know I'm not like physically in front of her, but she's running through that pressure. So that's why I'm getting after her and saying, hey, you know what? No, you need to move. You need to move on forward. So she's going around. Very nice. So this is just really good. Helps get them moving out. That time she did pretty good. You notice I got a long whip. I kind of learned that it's kind of nice having a long whip. You don't have to run around so much, and you can kind of reach out more and say, hey, you know what, you need to keep going in a certain direction, but you're not actually out there to get yourself or kicked or whatever. So it's nice having a long whip. I've actually, when I got it, I kind of made fun of it. I got it as a prize. Actually one of Ginger Duke's things, where it was a pit challenge, and I was making fun of it and picking on everybody with it. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do with this thing? But here we are. Here I am using it for this. It's actually really, really good, and I'm glad I got it. So, keep her moving. I know it kind of seems like my hand is constantly moving. I don't really mean for it to be constantly. It needs to be down and still. There my hand's quiet. Because the more you, got her facing in. That's what you want the horses to do, is when they turn, is to face towards you. So now I'm going to push her off the other way. But you want your hands, when they're going like you want your hands to be quiet. Now here my free hand is kind of waving back and forth, and my other hand's quiet. So you do want your whip to be quiet when they're going the speed you want and the direction you want. You only use it when they try to turn around and go the other way, and you did not ask them to go the other way, or you're changing directions or whatever. So here, I can't really see what she was doing. I forget which. She was probably trying to turn and go the other way, or she stopped or something. So there, getting her to pushing her a little bit. And I'm going to ask her in. There she goes. So that's what I want. I want them to come in facing me instead of into the fence. I don't want two heels. I want two eyes. So I want both of their eyes facing me. And this is a whole lot like, what the Lord wants. He wants our two eyes on him. He doesn't want our backs on him. Because we need to keep our eyes on the Lord, and so it's the same thing that's going on here. Is we want the horse to always have their eyes on us. So here she ran through the pressure. I'm gonna get a new angle and say, hey, get going. So there she moved. So nope. I'm gonna get after her for that. She does not need to turn when I do not ask her to turn. She only turns when I ask her to turn, and she turns into me when I ask her to turn. So here she's trying to turn again. She's running through the pressure, get a new angle because I had a bad angle. There. So I really had to get after her and say, hey, you need to move. And you notice that she's having trouble with following directions there. She wants to do her own thing. It's not because she's scared or anything. It's just that she wants to go the other direction, and she'd rather not go the direction that I'm asking her to. I'm like, hey, you need to go this direction. There we go. Now I turned her to the inside. I'm going to let her have a little bit of a break. Or I'm letting her have a little bit of a break. So now what I'm getting ready to do is walk around the side of her and see if I can't get her to follow me. So I'm pulling up I was pulling up my string a little bit, so I dropped my my whip. So now I'm walking around. There we go. Now I'm gonna back up. That she's coming toward me. So when she turns that hind end over and comes toward me, and then I'll back away from her. So I'm seeing about getting her to move around a little bit. Here she's not paying attention to me. She's kind of got her head. She's away from me now. She's looking. Now I'm going to have to kind of get her attention here. Now I'm getting after her a little bit because she decided that she didn't have to pay attention to me anymore. Move her out. Move her back into me. Now I'll go and walk around the side of her again. So ultimately what I'm wanting to do is get her to follow me. So what I'm doing is I am putting pressure, a little bit of pressure on the back end, because I want her hind end to move over, and which is going to help while she's on a lead rope too, is to get her to move over. And this exercise with her loose and joining up with her some, getting her to go around, changing directions and stuff without a halter on her. I've already done all of this without a saddle. It's to me, it's very. There she goes. She's starting to follow me a little bit. It's very important to me to do it without a saddle, and then go through the process of getting the control, work with the tarp or a bag or whatever, and then go for the saddle and work with the saddle, because then you have more control. Here she's kind of walking out, so I'm going to pick up my whip again and say, hey, you want to go off? Just go ahead and move, because she decided not to follow me when I went up next to the fence and went off. But yeah, I get control of them as much control of them as I possibly can, and before I put a saddle on them. So here I'm walking back around. I'm going to try to get her attention a little bit, get that hind end over. She's deciding to walk off again. I'm going to kind of push her, say, hey, pay attention to me. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring her back in. I'm going to back up. I know some people, a lot of people say turn your back, walk away from one. I do not turn my back on a horse when I'm doing this. And the reason being is, like, this horse is going to be just fine, is follow you around and be fine. But for those of you that know that I do quite a few Mustangs, is a lot of times I do want my eye on them. I do not want my back turned. Because if they decide they're going to cross that line or try to run me off or something, then I can catch them right then. So That's what I want her to do, is follow me around like that. I'm gonna walk to the side there, walk to the side again, and get her attention. Back up, get her attention again. Kind of slapping my leg a little bit, saying, hey. I'm gonna push her a little bit. Now back up, so she's facing back in. I'm gonna walk around and see if I can't get her to come back to me. But yeah, with the Mustang, a lot of the Mustangs, or not even just the Mustangs, but a horse that's maybe a little on the aggressive side, or maybe they have a little bit of fear, but they come over that fear, really quickly, and they're more of a dominant type horse. I want to make sure that, I'm safe as well, and they're not just going to run in, that I can go ahead and say, hey, you know what, you need to move off and not be so quick to come on in. So I'm going to, there, move her off. Now bring her back in. Very, very nice. So, I'll have them follow me around a little bit, and then I'll just leave it at that, and they'll go on to something else, and I might come back a few days later or something and do this exercise all over again. So, hope y'all enjoyed this, and God bless.